Okay, so আজকে আমরা একটা paper speed run session করব. Paper speed run sessions are a signature session of First Paper CS. Now, before we get started, I want you to have the right mindset for paper 2. Now, see, paper 2 is different from any other subject's paper. For instance, in mathematics, you usually apply a formula and simplify to reach the answer. But in this paper, here, it's more than that. It's about sequential thinking and organizing steps to build a complete solution. That's the real skill this paper develops, and that's what we will focus on today. So since this is a speedrun session, আমরা directly চলে যাব আমাদের question number 1. The question number 1 says, the flowchart shows an algorithm used for quality control on a biscuit production line. The weight of each biscuit is entered into the variable weight. So we have a variable called weight. If the weight of the biscuit is between 16.2 and 17.2 grams, so these are two decimal values, real data type. So if the weight of the biscuit is between 16.2 and 17.2 grams inclusive, which means upper bound and lower boundary included, the pass counter is incremented by 1. If the weight of the biscuit is between the acceptable range, the pass counter is incremented by 1, which means we have the weight of the biscuit is acceptable. Otherwise, the reject counter is incremented by 1. So if the weight of the biscuit is outside this acceptable range, the reject counter is increased by 1. The process continues until -1 is entered. So -1 acts like a switch. So if -1 is entered, the process stops immediately. After which the total for pass and reject counters are output. So the counting variables, pass counter and reject counter, are both output as soon as -1 is given as an input. So at first we input weight, and then we need to check if weight is equal to -1. So user যদি -1 input দেয় তাহলে আমাদের process stop হয়ে যাবে. So there are two options. If the weight is equal to -1, if it is true, then we are going to output. Let's do the easy part first. So if it is true, if weight is -1, if we want to stop this program, then we are going to output pass count, and then we will output reject count. So that is when the condition is true. If the condition is false, if we want to continue this program, then we will check is weight greater than or equal to 16.2 and weight less than or equal to 17.2. That means if the weight is between the acceptable range. If the range is acceptable, the pass counter is incremented by 1. If it is not acceptable, if the weight is not outside the acceptable range, then we increment the reject counter. Now that is all for this flowchart. Part B of this question, explain how you would alter the flowchart in 1A so that it calculates and outputs the average weight of only the biscuits that pass the weight check. So all the biscuits that has passed the weight check, we need to find the average of their weight. You may include program statements or flowchart symbols in your answer. These are optional, but you must explain it fully. So for this type of questions, we can write in paragraphs, and we could also slide in some pseudocode statements as well. But the main part is it needs to be fully explained, so we need to write a small paragraph to explain the concept. Let's start by writing, since average is the total divided by number of items, we initialize a variable to store the total biscuit weight. Because average is total divided by number of items, we need a variable that is going to store the total. So we initialize a variable to store the total biscuit weight, add all the weights together in this variable inside the loop when it passes the condition of 16.2 and 17.2 inclusive. Calculate the average outside the loop and output the result. Question number 2. 3 uses of arithmetic operators and 4 results are shown. Where 355 is being divided by 10, the result is going to be 35 because the diff function returns integer values. So the decimal place is going to be rejected and only the whole number part is going to be retained. So let's connect that with 35. When 355 is divided by 10 using the division operator and not the function, because the first option we had diff function, but when we use the division operator, it generates a decimal, it generates a real data type value. So the answer is going to be in real data type, which means decimal point is going to be retained. So 355 divided by 10 is 35.5. Let's connect that with the correct result. And lastly, when 355 mod 10, it means when 355 is divided by 10, the remainder is what we get for this operator, for the use of mod operator. So when we divide 355 by 10, we get 5 as a remainder. So let's connect that with 5. Question number 3. The purpose of the pseudocode algorithm is to carry out a bubble sort to sort in descending order 1000 numbers stored in a one-dimensional array. In this question, there are 3 syntax errors and there is 1 logical error. The first syntax error is in line number 2. Declare index as character. Character is going to be replaced by integer because index is a number. Syntax error number 2 is in line number 8. For index assigned to 1 to 50, 50 is going to be replaced by 1000 because there are 1000 numbers in this one-dimensional array. The last syntax error, the third error in this program, is in line number 17. Next stop is going to be replaced by end while because next stop is the format for loop, and in while loop we use end while to mark the end of the loop. This is where the 3 syntax error and there is 1 logical error in this program. If you can notice that in line number 5, line number 7 and line number 14, stop is being assigned to false, and the loop of this program depends on this variable stop. So if stop is always false, it is highly possible that this loop is going to run into an infinite loop. So this loop is never going to stop. To solve this problem, in line number 7, we are going to assign stop to true. We are going to change the state of stop so that at some point the loop can stop as well. B of this question, the swap section in lines 11 to 13 of the existing code are to be changed to a call statement for a procedure. So আমরা line 11 to 13 কে একটা procedure দিয়ে replace করব, and we are required to pass 2 parameters. So procedure swap index 1, let's name the first parameter index 1 as integer and index 2 as integer as well. Then declare hold as real. Hold is assigned to values of the first index, so index 1. In the following line, values of index 1 is going to store the values of index 2. This is going to rewrite index 1 with the value of index 2. And lastly, we are going to assign index 2 with the hold amount because the hold amount is retaining the value of index 1. Part 2 of question B, write the procedure to transfer control to procedure swap. So in here we need to call the procedure, so we are just going to use the call keyword, call and then the identifier swap and pass the 2 parameters index plus 1 comma index, because index plus 1 was used in the original question. So that is why we are using index plus 1 and the second parameter as index. Part C of this question, explain the difference between global variables and the variable declared in 3b1. So this is basic difference, pretty much the definition. So global variables can be used anywhere in the program and inside subroutines as well. However, local variables are declared inside a procedure or inside a function. So local variables declared in question 3b part 1 can only be used inside the procedure swap. Moving on to question 4, an input must be an integer between 10 and 95 inclusive, which means the upper bound and lower bound included. State the type of validation check to test if the input meets the requirement. In here, to check the range between 10 and 95, it is preferable to use the range check. Part 2 of this question suggests suitable abnormal and extreme test data for an integer between 10 and 95 inclusive, and give a reason for each of your choice. So an abnormal test data is going to be outside this range, so let's say 5, and the reason for choosing this data is this data is going to be rejected. So abnormal test data gets rejected, should get rejected by the algorithm. Then for extreme test data, let's check for 10 because it is the smallest acceptable data. Extreme test data are acceptable data, but they are the highest and the smallest acceptable data. So let's write 10 in here because it is the smallest data to be accepted. Question number B. A password system requires all passwords to contain at least 12 characters. State the type of validation check to test that the password meets this requirement. So at least 12 characters. We need to check the length of the character, so we are going to implement length check. Part 2 of question B, write pseudocode to allow a new password. The word allow itself indicates that we need to use input. আমাদের অ্যালগরিদমের মধ্যে input statement use করতে হবে. So allow a new password to be entered, and to ensure, the word ensure indicates that আমাদের validation check implement করতে হবে. So let's start with repeat until because that was indicated in the program, and also validation check এর জন্য repeat until loop is the most preferable loop structure because it stops as soon as the condition is true. So when we obtain what we are seeking for, we do not need to further repeat the loop. So let's use repeat until. Repeat, output enter a passcode of 12 characters, and we're going to input the passcode. If using the length function, if this passcode is not equal to 12, then output passcode is not 12 characters, end if, and we're going to repeat until the length of passcode is equal to 12. So not less than 12, not more than 12, exactly 12 is what we are seeking for. So ID, the description for ID is unique identifier. ID is text, name is text, description text, price, selling price of component to 2 decimal place, so real for decimal place, number available, integer because it represents the number in stock, minimum level, integer because level at which the component is reordered. Reordered is boolean because it represents whether or not the component has been reordered. Date ordered, so it's date/time. Part B of this question, complete the SQL statement to list only the unique identifier, component name, and reorder date of all the components that have been reordered. So we are going to select these 3 tables. So we are only going to select these 3 columns. So select ID, select name, and date ordered from the database component where reordered is equal to true. Alright, the question number 6, the pseudocode represents an algorithm and the algorithm is given. We are asked to complete the trace table for the algorithm using input data computer. Okay, so the first word is computer, so let's write computer under word. After that, for index 1, we extract the first letter of the entire word. The first letter is C, so let's store letter in the first index, so C1, so store 1 is going to store C. So we'll move on to the next index, index 2. The letter now is O from computer, CO. And then for the third index, we have M. The program is storing the non-vowel word in the array. And after that, we output all the letters stored in the array. So all the non-vowel words are going to be output in this program. Describe the process in this program. Output the consonant letters only, so the non-vowel letters only from the input word. So each vowel letter is replaced with the null character or the empty character after being checked using case-of statements. That is 3 marks. Question number 7, draw the symbol of a not OR logic gate. So not OR, we draw a OR gate and put a small circle. The truth table for not OR is the exact opposite of OR gate. Now part B, consider the rules given in the following table. A security system uses sensors to sound an alarm if an intruder is detected. The alarm sounding is represented by the output A equal to 1. The alarm sounds if it is dark. So here is the condition. The alarm sounds if it is dark. So dark stands for not L. Check the table. We have three inputs. We have L, M, and S. L stands for light, M stands for motion, S stands for sound. So the condition for the alarm to go off is that the alarm sounds if it is dark, so not L, and if either motion or sound or both motion and sound are detected. So let's write the logic expression A equal to 1 when A is equal to not L and we have motion or sound, or we have both motion and sound. Now let's complete the truth table for the security system. Let's start by solving for not L. So L is going to be flipped, that is not L. Then let's solve for the first bracket, M and S. M and S, there goes M and S, this is bracket T. Then let us solve for S or T. So S or the bracket T. So S or T, there goes S or T. So this, let's name this column U, and then M or U. So M stands for motion and U stands for the bracket, which is S or T. Now finally we jot them all together and solve for the entire formula, solve for the entire expression, and that is our answer. Now the question number 8, the 15-mark question. First of all, let's read the question loosely in order to get an idea of what this question is about. A collector needs a video library system for a collection of videos stored on 4K Blu-ray disc, a standard Blu-ray disc, DVD, or as digital downloads. The two-dimensional array. So this line is just for setting the scene. The next paragraph, the two-dimensional array, 2D array video is used to store for each video item the title, the format of the video, and the year it was released, stored as a string, and a storage code to represent where the video can be found. For example, we can check the example. আমাদের চারটা column আছে. For every column, the first column is going to store the name, the title of the video. The second column is storing the format. The third column is storing the year it was released, and the fourth column is storing the unique storage ID or the unique storage code. Let's read on. The two-dimensional array's results is used to store the result of a search to find a specific video. The search uses the video title, and if the video is found, its data is copied from the array video to the array results. The search continues, and if other videos with the same title are found, this data is also copied to the array results. The search ends when the end of the data is reached. So this program is pretty much like searching on a web browser or searching a video on YouTube. So whenever we search a video on YouTube, we are not recommended by one video. The YouTube algorithm do not only recommends one video, but there are multiple videos that have similar keywords. So this program is a simulation of searching a video quite like on YouTube. The first requirement says, write a program that meets the following requirement. The first requirement says the video library array needs to be initialized with the null string, allowing for up to 1000 records. The second part of this question says the array results must be initialized before every search with the null string and must be able to hold up to 20 search results with the same title. Currently we are dealing with the video array. We're going to solve for the result array later on because it links, because I can see the result array is mentioned later on this requirement list. So we're going to pair the result for later. Now if you have solved enough 15-mark question, you will know what I just did there. Normally requirement গুলো serial wise include করা থাকে না, so আমাদেরকে serial wise requirement choose করতে হবে. So first requirement এর মধ্যে even though আমাদের result array নিয়ে process করতে এখানে include আছে, but these are not numbered. আমাদের numbering টা proper order টা select করতে হবে. So it is up to the candidate to sort out the perfect order for his program. So the requirement number 1, populate array with null string for the row assigned to 1 to 10,000, for row assigned to 1 to 10,000, and for column 1 to 4. This was already given in the example. So for column 1 to 4, we're going to assign the video array with empty character, with null string basically. And then let's close off the loop. Next column, next row. Create a menu to add a new video to the library, or to search for an existing video by title, or to stop the program with validation of the input. So here we are starting the menu for this program. So requirement number 2, output the menu and validate the input by the user. So let's start with repeat. This is the big repeat. Now this repeat is for the loop, for the entire this loop is for the entire program until stop is selected. And then let's start the repeat loop for validation. So output, enter a new video. So enter 1 to add the data of a new video. Output, enter 2 to search for an existing video by title, and output, enter 3 to stop. After that we input the choice. Now if choice is less than 1 or greater than 3, because we only have 3 choices, so if choice is less than 1 or choice greater than 3, then we're going to output choose between 1, 2 or 3. Try again. And if, and let's close off the loop by writing the post condition. So until choice equal to 1 or choice equal to 2 or choice equal to 3. The validation is going to stop when choice 1, 2 or 3. So after we have obtained our choice, the user's choice, let's move on to requirement number 3. Requirement number 3 is the criteria for choice 1. If the user selects choice 1, so if the user's choice is equal to 1, then we're going to find an available space. So if choice is equal to 1, the user wants to enter the data for a new video. So the নতুন video data user enter করতে যাচ্ছে, so find an available space to input data. Starting from the first index of video array. So we need to search an available space. So when index is assigned to 1, while we're going to search in the video array, if the first position is not equal to 1, so if the first position of the video array is not equal to the null character, then we are going to increment to the next index. If the first row is not equal to null, we're going to move on to the next index. So to allow input of data for another video if required. So we need to keep on asking the user if he is interested if they are interested to input more information, or they are interested to enter more videos, enter data for more videos. So if choice equal to 1, we need to input the video titles. So data input from user unless user says no. For that, we need to start a repeat loop and output enter video title, and we will input that video title in the video array. The index variable here represents an available space that we have checked previously if it is equal to a null character. If it is null character, it is an available space. So the second output statement, enter format of the video that the user wants to enter, and তারপর আমরা input নিয়ে নেব video format stored in the second column of the video array. Third output, enter year of release, and input that data in the video array third column. Lastly, output enter storage code, and that is going to be stored in the fourth column of the video array. Now, since this location has already been used, we're going to increment index, because index represents an available space. Currently, this space has been used by the user just now, so index is going to be incremented by 1. Now, we are going to prompt the user if he's interested to add another video, and input the choice. So input another vid. So this loop is going to be repeated until another vid is equal to no. And then we will close off the if condition. So this was the first choice. If choice equal to 1, this was the block of code that we would solve. Okay, the fourth requirement, and one of the branches of fourth requirement is in the last part of the first requirement. These are not in serial order, but it is up to the candidate to organize his code or sort out which requirement to attend first and which requirement to attend later on. So the fourth requirement says the array result must be initialized before every search with a null string. So we need to populate result array with null string, and this array is going to be able to hold 20 search results with the same title. So when we search a video title, it is going to show us 20 results. So maximum of 20 if 20 videos are found in the video array. So maximum of 20. So requirement number 4 is the criteria for choice 2. So if choice is equal to 2, then we initialize or we populate the result array with null string. So for row index 1 to 20 and for column index 1 to 4. Result is the array that is going to store the empty character or the null character. Let's close off the for loops. Next column, next row. After that, let's search the input given by the user. So output, enter the video title you want to search, and we will input the search title. Enter the video title you want to search and input search title. Search index is assigned to 1 because we're going to start searching from the first index. So search index is 1 and found is equal to 0, because currently we have found 0 and maximum we can find is 20 as stated in the question. So repeat, if in the video array if the data in the video array is equal to search title, so the first index, search index is assigned to 1, so this first index of the video array, if it is equal to the search title, the title given by the user, if it is equal, then found is incremented by 1, and then we will transfer the data to the result array. So we need to transfer all the 4 columns, so that is why we are starting a for loop where temp is the temporary variable. For temp 1 to 4, result array is being assigned by the data in the video array. So we are transferring from the video array to the result array all the data for each of the 4 columns. And each of the four columns hold the video title, the format, the release date, and the unique ID. After that, search index is assigned to search index plus 1. Even if they are not equal, search index is going to be incremented anyway. So we do the search index twice within the then column and after the else column. So search is going to be incremented regardless of if the if condition is true or not. So this is going to go. This is going to continue until video is equal to null character or search index is equal to 10,000. It means no more data is available or the upper boundary has reached. Now let's output the result from the array that we have. The search result গুলোকে আমরা এবার আউটপুট করব। So these are the last 3 requirements left. These are the last 3 requirements left. Oh, we missed out on ending the if condition. So end if. Now let's output the result from the result array. If result array is not empty, output its content. So it might be the case that we have not found any video that the user wants to search. So result array might be empty. So if result array is not empty, then we're going to output the results using a for loop. We are going to output each of the 4 columns. So for this row assigned to 1 to found stands for the number of videos we were able to find out from the array. So this row is assigned to 1 to found, and found can be maximum of 20. So 1 to found, this column 1 to 4, and output results from this row and this column. Else we will output your search item not found, and that is the end of this condition. That was also the end of the second. That was also this. That's the end of the condition, and now this is the end of the entire program. So until choice equal to 3, where choice equal to 3 means to stop the entire program.